No Man's Sky may just be the biggest blunder of 2016 in terms of how to not market and release a video game. Developed by Hello Games, it's a self-confessed game about exploration and survival in an infinite procedurally generated universe. Don't be fooled by the hype though, No Man's Sky is your standard first-person survival experience. Except this time, instead of being on a desert island or in 1960s England a la We Happy Few, you're in space, flying from planet to planet, collecting resources like nickel, plutonium and zinc instead of wood and stone. I genuinely do not know where to start with this one, from the boring and repetitive so-called exploration aspect of the game, where you'll be visiting the same looking barren, lonely planets over and over, or the horrible inventory system that appears to lack a fundamental misunderstanding of how to make an intuitive control scheme. Obviously I'm reviewing this on the PC version. Now for some reason PC gamers had to wait a few extra days than the console gamers did because we were told they were ironing out a few things for the final release. I don't know what they were ironing out and I shudder to think what the whole thing might have been like if it was released when it was supposed to be. Why is that, you ask? Well, because this game runs like absolute crap. I'm playing it with an i7, 16GB of RAM and a GTX 1080 on Windows 7 and it stutters like crazy pretty much constantly. On top of that, it doesn't look all that good. I mean, there's a bit of an appeal to the aesthetics and the art style, I guess, but overall this is a very piss poor looking game. I did enjoy the first time I left the starting planet in my spaceship though. That feeling of breaking through the planet's atmosphere was pretty awesome, and flying through space dodging asteroids does have its moments, but this kind of performance, considering how average the whole thing looks, just isn't acceptable. As far as I could tell, there's practically no story in this game. I don't know who or what I'm supposed to be. I guess I'm some kind of alien and my only real goal is to getting to the center of the universe, for reasons I genuinely didn't know. Aside from telling you jack shit in terms of the premise, the game gives you basically no help or kind of tutorial whatsoever. The whole thing opens with you stranded on a planet with your ship broken down. You're supposed to run around collecting supplies to repair it, but you're given no information or bearings as to where you need to find the components. So you just spend the first hour or so wandering around aimlessly until you scrounge up what's needed. There is an element of fun to be had by learning all this stuff on your own, but here it just feels like it's been neglected. You've got a multi-tool which can function as both a mining beam and a bolt caster. The mining beam used to collect resources from the environment like carbon, plutonium, and the bolt caster is primarily used as a weapon to defend yourself against sentry bots and other animals. Upgrading both of these becomes an absolute chore for the simple reason that whenever you upgrade them, the upgrades take up their own inventory slot. The inventory itself is really clunky and shoddily thrown together as well. You've got an inventory for your suit, your ship, and your multi-tool, with resources able to be shuffled between the suit and the ship, and the multi-tool inventory holding the aforementioned upgrades. When the game starts, you've got bugger all inventory slots and you'll probably fill up pretty quickly, and the only way to upgrade these slots is to either salvage or buy a bigger ship, or by upgrading the suit at drop pods found on each planet or terminals at space stations, something you're going to spend a fair amount of cash on. Once you finally get off the first planet, you're set loose in the universe and able to do whatever you want. Now, if you choose to ignore what serves as the main campaign, you could instead go to a nearby planet and explore it. Or you can go to another nearby planet and explore it. Or to another nearby planet and explore it. Are you seeing a pattern here? And you might be thinking that the whole procedurally generated aspect of the game means there'll be a lot of value to it, right? Well, I guess that might be true if you can overlook the fact that, minor differences aside, every single planet is pretty much exactly the goddamn same. They may have different parameters like radiation, temperature, and toxicity, but this only affects the amount of time you can stay out of your ship. All of the randomly generated animal life, some of which look utterly idiotic, will just meander around, occasionally attacking you if you get too close. If you're expecting all kind of wacky alien creatures that spit acid or teleport around or something actually creative, well, think again, Sonny Jim. So the way it works is you land on a planet, you research the flora and fauna, and you're also able to learn a bit of the local alien language, which helps when communicating with NPCs. On top of that, you fly around and discover a few key outposts or shelters, all of which are the same copied and pasted across each planet. The focus of the game is always to warp jump to the next system, so once you've got enough items to craft a fuel cell for the warp drive, you leave the planet and jump to the next system before repeating this process all over again. Flying feels loose and clunky, and it's literally impossible to crash your ship because the game will take away control from you before impact. Occasionally you'll be attacked by a few other ships in space, which is just a rudimentary combat system that is also pretty much unfailable. There's no thirst or hunger system to worry about, just your health and shield, as well as keeping your ship's various parts all stocked up, all of which are extremely easy, removing any real threat or urgency to exploring. The process of getting a new ship too is an absolute pain in the ass. It comes down to either buying them off other NPCs or finding destroyed ships on planet and restoring them. The only difference between ships is their appearance and their total inventory slots. Now, why they didn't let you customize and build your own ship from scratch and upgrade it is beyond me. I mean, at least that way you would have felt some attachment to your ship, but as it stands, it's just another commodity, like collecting plutonium or zinc, and it feels as lifeless as every other aspect of this game. And lifeless is the key word here, folks. On every planet you can expect to see the same outposts and shelters over and over. Each space station has the same NPC sitting in the same looking chair offering up a speech check in the same looking room. Despite the fact the space station is as big as a planet, there's only ever one person working there. A so-called trading post is again a single NPC standing around doing nothing, while spaceships land for a short period of time on a nearby landing pad before flying away just as quickly. You mostly sell items through a computer terminal where they magically just vanish from your inventory. There's no bartering or vendors to deal with. Now, there may be a bazillion, gajillion, fifillion planets in this game, but they're all equally as empty, mundane, and as I said, lifeless. There's no proper map system either, so you can't even really tell where the hell you're actually going or where you are in relation to where you've landed on the planet. And when you warp jump out of a system, you're unable to go back to the one you just left. I read a good quote online about this where someone said that No Man's Sky is as wide as the ocean and yet as deep as a puddle, and that pretty much sums the whole thing up perfectly. The illusion of grandeur when you first get into it becomes shattered really quickly when you realize you're just doing the same crap over and over, and I really blame this kind of thing on the procedural generation. I could really care less about procedural generation. In fact, I wish developers would just stop using it. It takes all the thought and craft out of video game design, and as a result of using it, you're likely to see some absolutely retarded shit like this. No Man's Sky feels like a game without a soul, which it kind of is. I mean, it's hard to find something meaningful in something that's been created by a kind of algorithm. I'd prefer they just made like 2 or 3 huge planets and worked on making them unique with their own plant and animal life, then they would have really had something. As it is, you just get this very stale and uninspired game world, and the whole thing is so boring. The lack of multiplayer sure doesn't help the whole thing either. Now, I can appreciate that this game was made by a small development team, and yeah, they all look like nice guys, but you just can't shake the feeling of mediocrity with this one. Maybe they shouldn't have marketed it like a AAA title or charged the same price as one. Maybe they should have focused on making a smaller, tightly crafted game instead of trying to package an entire galaxy into a 3GB download and an unoptimized engine. If you've never played these kinds of games before, then maybe there's a bit of enjoyment to be had, but everyone else who's played a game in the last like 12 or so months will probably just want to give this one a miss. What a damn shame.